No matter if you're a pessimist or an optimist, Derek Esposito's life wasn't a good one, nor a bad one. His father was a bipolar abusive man. During his euphoric phase, he would work like a madman. In his natural state, whenever he decided to actually take his medications, he was just a couch potato that would stand up and go to work. His sons were always a disgrace in his eyes. His mother left to escape domestic violence after giving birth to him and his brother Carl. He tried to take care of his brother, who was 2 years younger, but to no avail. They used to love stories of heroes and justice, but there was never a hero to save them, and are forced to go to church every week to pray, so they no longer believe in anything. After entering high school, Derek began to suffer from bullying. A month later, he started to figure out how to make things better. He got social services to deal with the father's abuse, but nothing happened. He reported their bullying to the teacher again, but the teacher threw the problem to the principal. The principal thought it was just childish behavior of the kids, and just called Derek's father to get rid of the problem. This was followed by yet another verbal abuse. That night, Derek wept with unprecedented despair and helplessness until he fell asleep. The next day, he felt more awake than ever. He needs a plan. It would take him years to realize that something inside him had died. So, Derek asked his father to let him learn martial arts. Unexpectedly, he agreed to do so in one go. His only condition was that Derek could not quit for a year, or he would pay the price. Derek began practicing Aikido every day, as well as devil training until he was exhausted. In a few months, he was finally able to do every day 100 push-ups, sit-ups and squats, and run for at least 10 kilometers before going to school. Aikido is mainly used for self-defense, but can also attack and dirty fighting. When practicing martial arts, he found he was gifted at spotting breakdowns in the defense process, and was able to automatically master killing moves. In addition to practicing martial arts these past few months, Derek is also planning his next move. At the end of the period, Derek stopped avoiding the bullies and kept provoking them, and tried not to be alone, so that he was always in the sight of adults. It didn't even take more than a day for his enemies to become enraged. At this point, he threw out the bait.
I have enough of your *T as asterisk holes. Meet me in an hour behind the grocery shop between Lincoln and the 3rd. Or are you too scared?
Since you seek death, we will happily grant your wish.
In the back alley, Derek waited for them. Trash.
Sorry, I brought some friends. Gain up on him, guys.
Derek was not impressed. No one noticed the tripwire on the ground, and soon they all fell down. He took the iron bar prepared and began to take revenge, and took special care of their nether regions. Then Derek electrocuted them with his father's stun gun, stripped them naked, and posed them as if they were flirting with each other. After taking many pictures of them as a threat, Derek turned around and left. Derek returned home euphoric, and he had never felt so proud of himself. The bullying ended, but his social life never stopped being miserable. He could not tell anyone about his problems, could not allow people to get close to him. Otherwise, he would have to think of an explanation for not being allowed to bring any friend home, let alone a girl he liked. He started having trouble sleeping at night, thinking about all those lovey-dovey couples out there. Derek knew he was different from them. His problem couldn't be cured by any doctor because it had a name and surname. Ezio Esposito, his trash bag of a father. Derek started conceiving plan after plan to get rid of him, even if that meant killing him. But when morning came, he would always realize it was a dumb plan, more wishful thinking than anything else. Kill Ezio? Sure. And what about then? Killing Ezio would have meant abandoning Carl forever and destroying any possible chance of being happy in the future. So, every morning Derek would swallow his plan along with the porridge and move on. His only real prospect was to cram as a madman, get a scholarship, and get out of that hell as fast as possible. Then, one morning, Ezio received his first big commission in years. So, he wore his best suit despite the heat and had Derek preparing him the briefcase and the laptop. Ezio ran to the elevator, pushing the button like a madman, but the light remained red. Cursing his damn condo, the building manager, and his rotten luck, Ezio made a rush to the stairs. Derek noticed that the light made odd reflections on the hallway's floor. Ezio had just passed in front of him when he realized that the janitor had just washed the stairs, but forgot to put the wet floor sign. It happened all in an instant. His foot slipped. Ezio tumbled down the stairs. Derek could have warned him, but instead he chose to remain still. We started to make several photos to prove that the floor was wet and there was no warning sign. His mind was already planning on hiring the best shark lawyer he could and sue the building managing firm responsible for his condo. Only then he carefully walked down the stairs to confirm Ezios' death. Derek grinned to him and said, "Do you really think I'm so stupid to never learn anything from you? As you more than once taught me, never delegate. Your smartphone is in your pocket. Take it out and call 911. Ezios' eyes were full of shock and hate, but that lasted only a moment. His head went limp, his gaze blank. As always, Derek's mother was too obsessed with her problems, leaving everything in Derek's hand. After a careful research, he contacted and hired the best shark lawyer they could afford. What followed followed was the happiest period in their life, that they got emancipated and moved away from their mother's place. Not even a month later, they received a very generous settling offer from the building manager. Their domestic nightmare finally over, but they had a hard time figuring what being a normal teen was supposed to be. While their peers seemed only interested in having fun and skipping classes, they were focused on studying and saving as much as possible. They knew they had to save as much as possible in case rainy days would once more fall upon them. But all in all, they had a good life. Derek got a scholarship and obtained a bachelor degree in chemistry, soon followed by a master in biochemistry. Carl was doing well too, already got his engineering degree, ready to study for his master, and already had a fiancée. Despite being really happy for his little brother, that was really a painful thorn in Derek's side. He had always been the more socially inept between the two, and never managed to get into a stable relationship, not even in college. Derek had no problem talking to girls. The problem always lied in him being picky, and ended in his inability to trust. He had had many crushes, but never fell in love. Derek was just too scared of being hurt again to let any relationship grow above a certain level, and that was an enemy that he could not just beat up. Derek accepted the first decent paid job he got, working in the night shift of a big chemical company in the Q&A department. Derek did not like his current job, but it was a way to start his working career and filling his curriculum. Also, it was well paid, and he resolved to use the company insurance to seek for psychological counseling. He knew he had problems and wanted to work them out. Derek consulted several doctors before finding someone he was able to work with, and after several months, he felt he was finally starting to make some progress. But alas, such happiness was not bound to last. It was a Friday evening, and Derek was getting prepared for work. He was still stuck doing Q&A because the pay was too good, and no matter how many times Carl said he wanted a small ceremony, Derek was sure that whatever they planned to spend, it would at least double in the end. It was a goddamn wedding, hence things were supposed to blow off proportions at some point. That's just how they work. Derek was adjusting his shirt when the smartphone rang on the notes of Night on Bald Mountain, the preset ringtone for unknown numbers.
Derek Esposito, who is it? Mr. Esposito, this is the St. Joseph Hospital.
Yes, what happened?
He was involved in a car accident and is in serious conditions. You should come here as soon as possible. The doctors need you since you are his healthcare proxy and the patient in unconscious.
A car accident? We don't have any ****** car. What the hell happened?
I'm sorry, I am not at liberty to say. The doctors will explain it.
By the time Derek arrives at the hospital, Carl is dead, and it was a drunk driver who hit and killed Carl. Derek left his phone number with the officer. A child under the age of 17 got drunk with a friend and stole the old man's car. The judge decided to prosecute as a minor.
Why talk about power and the future with that bastard? What is the fate of my brother Carl?
Derek yelled at the prosecutor's office. The day of the trial came, but prosecutors and defense lawyers reached a settlement. Offender Chris only needs to enter the rehabilitation center and do 600 hours of community service to be acquitted. Derek didn't make a big fuss. He went about his life step by step, like nothing had happened. The only thing that made him feel alive was the persistent headache that began shortly after Carl's death. And so much had happened that Derek had been swallowing aspirin and paracetamol like candy. But the pain never went away, but got worse. Derek finally finds the strength to do a serious examination, and the bad news awaits him. According to the results of the whole body scan and follow-up biopsy, his lung cancer was in the 2nd stage.
I've never smoked in my life.
Indeed, it is strange such aggressive cancers are too uncommon to be a coincidence. My personal opinion is a company problem.
But we wear masks all the time when dealing with chemicals, and I strictly follow safety protocols.
The scumbags of these companies only pursue profit.
Doctor, what are you hiding from me?
You are not the first case of your company, and if I were you, I would find a good lawyer and sue their souls. You will need a lot of money for treatment.
What reason do I have to live? I don't have a family, I don't have relatives, I can die tomorrow, and I don't care.
They parted ways, but she still gave him her phone number in case he changed his mind or just needed to talk. Derek called his old shark lawyer and explained everything. Derek wasn't working, went to fancy restaurants, and he began to enjoy life. Derek spends most of his time playing games, reliving bits and pieces with Carl. Then, 24 days after his diagnosis, he had an epiphany.